Welcome to Board Ghost, a story broadcast with games as the engine.
If living is a highway, then heaven is a bus stop. Been waiting for a minute there, or has it been forever?
We believe you're out there, hungry for stories for shared experiences. We can't see you, can't hear you, yet we'll play for you. This night's offering is Lovecraftesque, a storytelling game of brooding cosmic horror by Joshua Fox and Becky Annison, published by Black Armada Games. To learn how we generate stories playing the game of Lovecraftesque, go check out our Lovecraftesque primer. This is our first time playing the game, so that primer will be coming up around the time of this first episode. All right, so our humble players, myself, John Holt, with me.
Ken Breeze.
I'm Sharung, and I think every time I come to this, to Board Ghost, I bring with me horror and horrifics.
So we haven't played Lovecraftesque before, as you might gather from the name. It's not Lovecraft. It's Lovecraftesque.
Yeah, the rules specifically say make no mention of Cthulhu or Migo or Shoggoth.
Why don't we roll into setup? Shrong, you've played this game before, so you want to help guide us through this setup a little bit?
Sure. Okay, so during setup, first we agree on the general tone of the game. Yeah, they have comedy horror, heroic horror. I kind of like the traditional creeping, brooding mystery horror.
Investigative horror?
Yeah, they have brooding horror, investigative horror, heroic horror, comedy, or other are the main ones. So I like brooding and investigative, like a hybrid between them.
Not other horror? Like zoological horror? No.
Etymological horror.
Yeah,
the horror of
etymological.
words.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
You get weird on that one.
So is that okay with everyone?
Like investigative?
Creepy
Like
and investigative
investigative.
is very good. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, are we going full throttle here? Are we doing like, it's the 1930s, like the straight up, or do we want to set it?
I actually like a lot the 90s because I like the
90s.
absence of smartphones, but the modern feel.
Mm-hmm.
I often do that when I run games of like Monster of the Week and stuff. But what do you
do we? I'm fine with modern. My intrigue would be: do we want to be like suburban or urban, or like what is the?
We'll decide that when we decide the main location. I think.
Okay.
Because like that can be kind of like setting too. Like
Yeah.
are we like maybe we
Yeah.
at least like before we get to locations or
Okay.
to help
Yeah.
us with locations,
Yeah,
kind
I
of
agree.
like focus on what part of the globe we're at, maybe.
Oh yeah, baby, I love it.
What
France?
about
We could do
like
French?
Germany in the early 90s, but like East Berlin?
That'd be sick.
Oh,
right
I
after
have
unification.
Not a lot to go on in that, but that could be fun.
I think just like the general, like
you could play someone not from Germany.
I'll pitch
easily,
the tone on that. Like it's
Yeah.
basically like a
So
It's a-
right. Go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, like the wall has fallen
Just
pretty
fallen,
recently,
okay.
and you have like the main tone and tenor is an advanced like urban population matched against like a sort of an urban population that has been living in like a level of decrepitude.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
So you
Yeah, I
kind of
love
have
it.
this like you have these two
I
like
love it.
contrasting worlds
Yeah.
side
Yeah,
by
I
side.
like that.
Sort of
And so
coming
we don't need
together
to put on our German accents or anything.
No,
Right.
But it's sort of like we can have like the clean
Okay.
modern Bauhaus stuff, and then we can have
I like
the,
that. Okay.
Well, the
more-
leftover stuff from Soviet Germany.
Right.
from
Yeah, so
GDPR,
let's do
or from,
post-Soviet
DDR.
Germany as
Yeah.
our like sort of general sort of setting.
Yeah.
Is
Okay.
that cool? Like Berlin or
Yeah,
something?
post-Soviet, like right after the wall fell, Berlin.
I like
think
that. I
is
still want to watch
awesome.
Goodbye Lenin.
Case maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so era, we picked the era. It's like fall of
It's like
the
early
wall.
90s or something?
Yeah, I
Fall
mean,
of
the
the
wall
wall.
came down in 89, so yeah, early
Yeah.
90s.
92 or something.
Okay, so now wants to make a main location. They recommend the main location to be, either isolated or like dark or something horror. And they have ideas are isolated, old, decaying, dark, unexplored, abandoned, full of strange things with an unpleasant history. So what do we like as our main setting?
I will float this and you guys let me know, like a factory or like that's on the East Berlin side that, has been possibly was abandoned even as production sort of went fallow during the war. It could have been like a storehouse, and maybe at some point it was used for like interrogations or like just sort of like during
It
its
has-
general use of abandonment.
I
It
love
just
Okay.
was.
So it is
put to-
now abandoned.
now
Yes,
abandoned,
okay.
but once was a sort of a weird. I don't know what they built.
Secret
there.
prison. Like,
Okay,
or
so
like,
what was it?
like
Let's think. What was it first? Like what kind
factory.
What did it build?
I think it built like cars, like
Okay.
like
Mhm.
cheap
Abandoned
cars.
old factory
Car factory.
cars, and then at one point became a secret prison for
Yep.
the SS or whatever.
It's or whatever the
Sure,
right, is
okay.
it Stasi the
Secret prison.
those are the East Berlin secret
Mhm,
police.
So at
during
one point it was secret for the Stasi,
the 60s or whatever.
and then
yeah.
of course now the fall of Berlin has happened.
The Secret
fall
Lives of
Ber-
Others. You know that
Oh
movie.
yeah.
Right, and now the fall of the wall has happened, so it's become abandoned. It's a strange old car factory. The game recommends we have one to two other locations per player. So I will think it's nice to have one per player, and then we can add more if we need.
Sure.
Mhm.
It's Germany. I mean, my location is a nearby beer hall.
Mm.
Eine
Which side?
Bierhalle. It's on the western side. The beer hall's mascot is a baby bear, like a bear cub. And they even have like this weird stuffed bear cub in there that's holding like a stein of beer or something like that in its paw that's been affixed to it.
Like sort of a rocky concrete kind of quay.
Quay,
like
I love
water,
that word
like,
so much.
Like little like spot on the on the banks of the spray.
I think after the fall of the wall, a little like a tiny church opened up beside the factory. Because during the communist period, like religion was de-emphasized and stuff, right?
Sure.
But after it, like a soul priest opened a church because he's like, oh, good, the wall's fallen. Now we can bring peace to everyone. It's been harrowing. Now through religion, we will find whatever. Catholic.
Yeah, okay.
And now we talk about the witness. The name and role, why they're at the main location, one personality trait, and one source of strength.
Reporter. She could be like
Mhm.
someone who's in real estate or like
Ooh, I kind
a,
of like
like
that.
a sort of an entrepreneur looking to
Oh,
buy a
and she's
space.
the land. Yeah.
I
Okay.
like real estate agent or like sort of like
Scouting the land.
developer.
Yeah.
Sort
So
of
she's
works for moneyed interests that are looking to develop land.
So is she foreign? Maybe like foreign investments are now coming into the country.
Or does she work for like a foreign firm? but
Yeah,
she's
I
a
think that's
local?
more
Oh,
it. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
local
Mm-hmm.
works for a big
Land developer.
French land
Sure.
developer.
Yes. French.
What about like Anna?
Yeah.
For the
Anna's-
easiest,
Anna's
right?
super good.
Yeah.
Anna.
Well, it's like what's like a Smith name?
Schmidt.
Schmidt is that?
Schmidt means Smith?
Yeah.
It's
I
like
didn't
the
know that.
equivalent.
Basically.
Okay, so Anna Schmidt. So she's a developer, and why is she here? She's checking out this location for possible
Yeah.
French development
Right.
interests.
Yeah. She wants to purchase it.
We want to do a personality trait that acts as an anchor for collectively playing the character, something we can fall back on. So is she? I can imagine her. They picked her because she's very practical and she'll just get things done.
Is she's practical, like persistent?
Yeah.
Maybe a personality trait could be over reliance on like the West, like over reliance on her version of civilization, and like that. More almost.
Yeah. Okay.
sort of
So
like
let's
a
put we can put
flaw.
those two. So she's persistent and overly reliant on what she's used to. One person is the first narrator, and the narrator is whoever has an idea for the first loop.
All right, so we've generated our scenario setting. We are playing a brooding investigative horror with an established set of band elements. We've gone through that. Things that we're going to kind of avoid within this thing. The era is the early 90s. We are in Berlin, sort of right there in the heart. And we have a couple locations. One of the main locations is an abandoned car factory that has been abandoned for a long time. And between sort of being a car factory gone fallow, it was used by the Stasi as a secret prison and a site for interrogations and brutal acts. A couple other locations. We have a beer hall just on the western side. There's a mascot of a bear, baby bear there, and they have a stuffed bear. Yeah. So we also have sort of a rocky quay/beach off the banks of the Spree River.
Mm-hmm.
And we also have right near this factory is a either newly converted into or newly opened or reopened tiny little Catholic church. Our witness is Anna Schmidt, Fräulein Schmidt. She is a developer. She's local and she works for like a big French land development. She goes into areas in Berlin and specifically now East Berlin that things opened up and takes her investors' money to try and find deals and ways to bring progress to the world and to her city. So why she's here is she wants to check out this factory and this sort of surrounding area for potential development. She has a strong practical persistence. She hustles to get done what she needs done, and she's going to look for the way to do it that is the most efficient in her mind, and she's going to adjust as needed. She's practical, and she's not going to stop until she gets done what she feels she needs to get done. To that end, one of her personality traits is that she's sort of overly reliant on her belief in progress. She believes that the stifling nature of the pre-fall of the wall East Berlin, the rule of the Soviets there was not progressive. It held back the people, and she wants, with the help of the people she works for, to bring this progress to the world. And so that is our setup for Anna Schmidt and our Lovecraftesque.
So the roles, the narrator decides when, where the scenes happen, who is there, what is happening. So basically the GM. The witnesses say what they do and say and narrates their inner fears and rationalizations. So a PC who also emotes a lot and talks about their inner thoughts a lot. And the watcher adds extra details and elaboration to the narrative descriptions. Also, the watcher can play minor NPCs.
I do.
Okay, do it.
So Ken, grab the narrator. Do you want to be the witness first? John?
Sure, I'll start as the witness.
And I'll be the watcher.
Okay.
And so everyone take 1 sec, just look at your card.
We are in former East Berlin, now it's known as the eastern part of Berlin. We are pushing in with our camera from above, getting a real beautiful view of the entire city of Berlin, and you can really see exactly where the old wall was, now the remnants that encased all of former West Berlin. The rest of the city around it is totally different than the former western part, which is built up, shinier. It definitely seems like as we're pushing in towards the eastern part of the city, it almost looks like another world, like from the 1950s or something like that. All the buildings are not modern. They are very, very old. Maybe 70s is the aesthetic for some of them, but very blocky, very big, monolithic almost. And we're pushing into a neighborhood that's pretty run down, and it's mostly an industrial neighborhood. As we push in further to the streets, that there are people outside of their shops, like buffing metal, sparks are flying, people are doing things here. And finally, we push into this red sedan that is driving up. It's like a 1980s Lincoln, and it's sort of driving up to this obviously abandoned factory, this huge, blocked long, very wide, basically takes up its whole own sort of area in the industrial section. And there is 2 huge metal doors that seem to have been stuck together by this rusty chain as the red sedan pulls up.
And I'm going to say it's very sunny, but the kind of sunlight that like bleaches color from everything. Everything is just very desaturated. It's not a pleasant sun. It's an unpleasant, dry, sunny.
Definitely. And the plates on the red sedan are definitely indicative of being from the former west of the city, as like this limousine driver, this sort of driver type gets out. This sort of really almost looks like a bodyguard even. It's just this burly dude who gets out. He has like this curly, blondish lamb's wool type hair. He is obviously European, but wearing like a uniform. He has sunglasses that he puts on immediately because it's so sunny out, and moves over to the back door of the sedan and opens it, revealing the witness.
Yeah, Anna Schmidt puts on her own sunglasses, and you see her leaning down and tightening the laces on her boots. She steps out in a pantsuit, tan pantsuit with a white blouse. She looks about and says to the driver, "Herr Bildman, you can pull around to the other side. I'm going to take a look at this space. If you just meet me over there, I'm going to sort of make the rounds. I need to take a look at this spot."
Very good, Fräulein Schmidt. There may be a caretaker about, but they have sent along the key. Here it is, as Fräulein Schmidt is handed by Herr Bildman an envelope. The envelope itself is this crisp, inky black paper. It feels very rigid. You even think it might be monogrammed with some sort of gold leaf in the upper left-hand corner, but it's really faded or something like that. It seems like a really old envelope.
Old but fancy
Yes.
envelope. And there's a smell of like, old books. It kind of smells like that.
Exactly. It is unsealed, but it does look like there was a wax seal on it that was broken.
As the car pulls away and the sort of dust on this hot day rises, Anna just is staring at the building, looking at this massive blocky structure with shattered windows and thinking about the possibilities as she sort of absent-mindedly reaches into the envelope without looking, as she again is observing this place and grasps the key. It's in the envelope, right?
It is. Her hand closes around the key. It's absently trying to fish it out. And she is bit. Like there's a sharp prick pain in her finger as she seems to have poked it on the key or on something in there. Before the pain subsides, but before she can take the key out or whatever, take even a closer look, someone gains her attention. Someone who seems to be some sort of mechanic from the building next over. They are obviously dressed in like very faded old jumpsuit, like a grease monkey jumpsuit. May have had a name tag on their lapel or their breast, as the case may be, at one point, but it's been torn off and gone. They're wearing these really beat up steel-toed boots where the fronts of them have been like torn off so you can see the steel sort of burnished sticking out of them. They seem to be like eating a sandwich.
This mechanic looks very young. Like he's like 19 years old, and so that doesn't match entirely the clothing he's wearing. That's like older, and he's eating a sandwich, and the witness, he notices this strange lady in a fancy pantsuit.
Yeah, she looked great.
Who gets startled by something in an envelope.
Mm-hmm.
And
what does she yell out to her? What does the mechanic yell out to?
The mechanic gives actually a really like happy, maybe overly happy, optimistic, bright-eyed kind of like smile full of blazing white teeth. Yells, "Hi, what are you doing here? You're not from around here," in a German accent.
Yes, I'm, She looks at her hand. She actually upends the envelope into her hand. You can get the, she tried one way, so she drops this key into her hand.
And a clue is revealed.
Ooh.
As the key drops into her hand. I think the young lad sees it as well.
Okay.
As it comes out.
Okay.
And it is a ornate key. Think of the top as almost like a pendant size. It sort of then goes down into this twisting metal of a key that has a number of different teeth on it in odd places. The teeth themselves are sort of either jagged or conical, but what bit her is in the circular brooch-sized portion of it, where it is in fact this demon face with an open maw, and the teeth are super sharp. She really did prick herself on like this bronze
teeth.
Yeah. Demon
Nice.
teeth.
She kind of closes her hand on the key. She notices the interest of the man.
And he's like, "Oh, what's that?"
I believe it's one of the keys for this
Wait,
location.
you own the old prison?
No. I've simply been given permission to survey it. Are you, I mean, you're on the land here. Are you someone who belongs here?
I mean, I work nearby, but I mean, none of us really belong to the prison. That's not a good place. And he gives another really cheerful, bright smile as he says that.
And she turns back and looks at it again and goes, I was led to believe it was a factory.
Like, well, it was a factory to begin with, and then it became a Stasi prison, so, not a good place.
I think that's a good place
Yeah,
to end the scene.
Yeah.
End scene.
As he, smiles and says, not a good place.
Not a good place. No.
Okay, so I'm marking off our first scene.
And we pass our rolls to the counterclockwise.
Anti-clockwise, yeah.
It's moments later. Anna is standing in front of the door with this padlock.
The big iron gate?
Yeah,
or
the big sort of iron doors to
Okay.
the main body of this factory
Okay.
spot. And in the shadow of the building, as she steps out of the sunlight, just close enough and into the shadow of this building. It's cool and not pleasantly cool.
Like clammy.
Yeah, so
okay.
sort of the bright, dry heat, for some reason, as she steps closer to the building, turns, curdles into this clammy cold.
And for a moment, she was a bit confused, but she shakes her head. She's like, oh, East Berlin, so backward. We will make this better.
And she stands there with the door lock in front of her. A few paces behind her, she hears the young man munching on a sandwich.
She proceeds to ignore the man, who's a little unsettling with his joy, and this time tries very carefully to grasp the key, not by the demon face.
That's all right if I'm here, right? I'm just really curious.
This is public place that you're in. Feel free. And she rolls her eyes when you can't see. What a weirdo. And she carefully, so not to be bitten again, puts the key in the lock and turns.
Yeah, and it doesn't turn.
Oh.
It's quite clearly too easy to put this key in, and it's too small within this massive padlock, this ancient, 20-year-old padlock or whatever. It's huge. The key seems too fine to actually fit inside. It's still a large key, but it just doesn't seem that this is the right key.
So she's
The padlock is super rusted as well. It doesn't look like it goes along with the key. They don't look like they match each other at all.
And you do notice that the doors there's some give in the chain. The chain is not tight, and the doors are the kind that slide. They're on these large metal wheels that are propped on the sort of broken concrete.
Anna, she swears under her breath, and she's like, oh, they gave me the wrong key. She swears, pockets the key, and she tries to see if there's a gap, if she can push the doors a bit and slide in or something.
The key feels just incredibly warm against her body. It didn't feel that way when she had it in her hand, but now that she's put it in her pocket, her pants pocket, or her breast pocket, or jacket pocket, what are we talking about?
She would put it in her she's wearing a suit jacket.
Blazer?
Yeah, her
Her
blazer.
pocket. Yep.
Yeah, so it's very warm against her chest, against her torso. It's weighty. It feels like she's very
heavy. It's a heavy key.
Yeah.
She tries at the door. It creaks open. It's pretty tough. It's a hard push. You're using a lot of strength to get it
She
open.
turns to the dude who's eating, and she's like, do you mind helping me here?
He sort of looks at you with this sly look on his face as he says, you're supposed to be here, right? This is you're of the land.
Yeah,
right?
we're gonna convert this old factory or prison and turn it into something much better than what it was.
And he sort of was like he was sort of making a joke that maybe that went over your head. But he shrugs good-naturedly and comes over and says, all right, on three, positions himself like he's ready to push it open.
And you both exert very strongly against it, and it opens wide enough that you could slide in sideways.
Okay.
And with your sunglasses still on, the light, you can barely see inside.
Yeah, I would presume I'd have a torch on me, as I knew I was going into a dark, weird place. So I slip inside, and I'm like, thank you, to the dude.
He slips in after you. He's got his hard hat on backwards, as is the style for the day. You can see that he has this cassette Walkman, apparently.
How modern. I eye the Walkman. I'm like, oh wow, East Berlin is
and he's like, all right, so what, you like Krista Cross?
She's like, she's also kind of surprised that he came in with her. She didn't expect that. She's kind of like, oh, I guess you're coming with me, sort of. Because she's not nervous yet. She's I could have done this alone.
As you sort of both step into the darkness again, now that you're in and with sunglasses off, eyes adjusting from the brightness outside, it's becoming you're starting to see there's sounds of birds sort of moving in the upper rafters. It's a vaulted massive space that you start to see it becomes clear that there are windows very high up, but they're filthy and they don't cast light down enough to the floor, so most of the light is at your back, and you just see sort of your shadows stretching out into the darkness from the shaft light, and then sort of a creak and roll. The door slams closed.
I turn my torch on. I can do this.
Yeah, the dust rises up around you. Sort of this space has been unsettled. That sound of the doors slamming shook something, and so there's sort of brick dust filtering down through the torchlight. And
The guy with you is scared. Like that startles him as the doors slam. He sort of turns around. He's sort of jerky. You're getting the sense that where he was very jovial to come in here before, something has now fallen over him. And he just looks a little paler. He look almost like sweat is beading on his like hair lip, or he doesn't. What I mean by that is like he has got like just a very
Wispy.
like peach fuzz hair.
Yeah.
Like wispy sort of
so
and
facial hair.
So he kind of gets uncomfortable to the point where it's clear that he has maybe an issue with darkness or enclosed space. There's something unsettled in him, and he makes it. He's sort of not vocalizing, but he's looking for an exit. He's looking for a way out.
So Anna notices that and kind of in her head thinks like, well, why did he come in with me? What an idiot. But like, okay, I want to be sympathetic, but I don't really have time for this. I need to explore the space. So I'm like, hey, are you going to come with me? Or you can wait here if you like. I'm going to check out the rest of the building.
Maybe there's a light switch or something like that.
Yeah, and he goes sort of off the side into the dark to look for this light switch.
I'm like, what? I try and shine the light towards where he went.
Yeah, you see him sort of like, there's almost a little office near this front door, and he's gone off the side. There's this, your light just shines on this dirty glass as you catch the last glimpse of him, of his form kind of passing this thing.
I'm like,
you hear the last echo of him. If there's going to be a light switch, it should be somewhere in here.
I try and call out, and I realize, wait, I don't know his name.
Nope.
I never asked him, and I'm like, it feels like silly, but I should follow him, so I go in that direction.
Okay, so you go into this little room, and it seems like it's sort of the reception area for a series of offices that may run across the length of the side of this little space, like some executive offices or some sort of administrative offices. He's nowhere to be seen. The door across from you with a glass window is closed, and in this little like room that has a desk and a telephone with the cord like frayed and fallen, it's a broken old phone, is empty.
And I swear under my breath again, like, oh, where did this kid get to? Like, what's he at? And I start, but I do remember he said there might be lights here, so I started looking around this room.
Yeah, and you sort of shining your light around, you shine it past the desk, and you kind of like, it's not a huge room, you turn your light back towards the desk, and now there's a ledger, like a book on the desk.
Oh, so even though I'm looking for light switch, that's kind of interesting. Like, what is that? And especially since he told me this used to be a Stasi like police prison. And I'm like, well, that's news to me. So I take a look at the lid.
Yeah, you lift it, and it's a blue of some sort.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
It's a cracked leather black book,
Okay.
and you open it, and it's just page after page of names.
Okay.
With like a series of coded numbers next to the names. Some are clearly dates,
Okay.
and some are annotations and codes. You don't understand what it means, but it's something about these names, these dates, and these signifiers.
Code is in a script. It's not Cyrillic. It's not Greek. It's not a Romance language. It's very difficult for you to even make out what the language is that this code is in.
So it's the names, the numbers, then a code.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like looking over it, you get the feeling that it might be like a number system or some sort of like image cipher, because it doesn't clue you into being a language that you've seen before. So you think maybe there's some sort of coded
Right. So
like
for a so I'm like,
symbology.
this must be. I mean, the Russians did a lot of stuff with Chinese. This must be something Chinese. But I'm a little unsettled by it. So
And the book, the tome, the ledger, it is not dusty as you pick it up. But as you pick it up, there's obviously it has left a place where it has been sitting there in the dust. Like it should be dusty. There should be dust all over it.
Yeah, as you lift it, you unsettle something like that was like a pen or something that was leaning against it, and it rolls to the floor and drops. And you hear a yelp from beneath the desk, and the young man pokes his head out.
what were you doing down there? I'm shining the torch in his face. I'm like,
You didn't see it? You didn't see them?
what are you talking about?
I don't know. Is there anyone else with you? And that's where we'll end our scene.
Okay.
I'm going to play my special card here.
Okay, what's it called?
Strange writings.
Oh.
Book, scroll, or carvings, ongoing effect. May play this card after a scene that included mysterious, possibly incomprehensible writing.
Nicely done, John. You walked right into his card. That's awesome. Okay. So what does it do?
Part 2 onwards.
Okay.
So not in any of these scenes coming up, but
Okay.
after part 2 starts, reveal inexplicable effects that happen when the writings are read or their instructions followed.
Oh.
Reveal that the things that the writings described were not fictional after all.
So now I'm the narrator, and so everyone take a sec to read your role.
Mhm.
I kind of like starting the scene literally moments after the last scene. So the young mechanic is like, didn't you see them? Like those things, there were these strange shapes.
Strange shapes, what are you talking about? You must have seen shadows. I have my torch, my flashlight with me. What are you doing in here? There are no light switches on the ground.
No, but I thought I saw something, so I went to hide under the table. I told you this is a bad place.
If it's so bad, why did you want to see it so badly?
And he like shivers and like just shakes his head.
Come, the least you can do is help me find the light switch, if there even is one. Perhaps put on some music, lighten the mood.
And he tries to smile and he emerges from the table. Is there a light switch in this room, Watcher?
There is a light in this room. Pull tab to a bare bulb that you shine your torch up to.
And Anna goes over to that and says, "See, we have some civilization here."
And it
Click.
shatters as soon as you pull it. And you're like,
With a pop too. Because there was water or something in the bulb. And that create it just with a flash, so you're almost blinded
yeah.
for a moment, and then glass is like raining down around you as you cover
Yeah,
yourself.
in that moment of flash of blindness, Anna tastes her a true sense of fear, like that glass is going to get in her eyes, like that this place is going to burn down. What is she doing here? Why didn't the key work? It's like she's just like, who is this guy that she's with? It's just sort of a weird. She just gets this very uncomfortable feeling. The key is still weighing down on her, and she says, "To hell with this." She goes to leave the office.
And he says, "Wait, don't leave without me." He's like, "But wait, are you all right? Did you get hurt?"
She says, "Only thing that's hurt are the chances that we're going to buy this trash heap.
He like kind of looks
But
around.
we could make it so beautiful. Just think of what it could be. Apartments, maybe, or a park. So many different things."
Like, I don't. This is a bad place. I think it should just be left alone. I don't even know why I came in here. I don't know. When a beautiful woman walks up with grand plans, what else are you supposed to do? But I just want to leave now.
Flattery will not help you now, my friend.
And-
But the entryway is right where we left it. Quite easy to find.
wait, alone? I'm not gonna go there alone.
Are you scared of the dark?
It's. You have to admit it. This is a frightening place.
I will admit is a bit macabre, perhaps, but we simply need to wash the windows so the light comes in, get the electricity working. I guess this is good. Perhaps there are other lights, and I believe there's a caretaker. Do you know this person?
I've never seen anyone here, but I don't. Again, no one in the area likes to come in here.
She has been holding the flashlight in her hand, the torch, and her thick, sort of well-manicured nails start to go on the flashlight handle as she's just impatient with this sort of
Maybe
falderall.
if we go further in a little bit, we'll find a main light switch of some sort.
Well, I need to tour the grounds anyways to see what may be
So he
needed.
shivers, and he kind of resolves.
And my
himself.
driver is waiting for me at the other side of the building, so I must go that way anyway.
So he kind of resolves himself, but he looks around and picks up something that he could use as a weapon.
Yeah, he hefts from this bin. There's a little bucket near that doorway, I guess, to this little room. There's a bucket with must have oil inside it, so you can't. It's sort of inky and black. But he pulls this pipe with a oily rag wrapped around it. And so he kind of hefts this pipe as oil drips down it and starts to come down his hand. And it's clear that he is comfortable with oil. I mean, he's
a mechanic, yeah.
Yeah, so it's just sort of like this black ink that covers in the darkness, almost erases part of him.
Anna, her eyebrow goes up as this person has armed themselves, apparently, as she's like looking at them as she like grasps her like really probably oversized but hidden underneath her blazer can of mace that she always carries on her belt.
Right.
Always. She's a modern lady.
Yeah.
She sort of looks at him for a second, askance, and then her eyes are drawn back to the still open ledger on the desk, but she sort of just walks away.
As you're kind of walking past, he had picked it up with his right hand, but he switches hands, so now grease starts pouring out the other hand, and he like just kind of wipes quickly on his coveralls and reaches out and says, "We haven't been introduced. I'm Freddie."
Freddie, I am Fräulein Schmidt.
Good to meet you, Fräulein Schmidt. And
do you shake his hand?
Yes, I do.
Your hand is now manicured but greasy.
Yes, I do. It's because the shaking of hands is a very important thing. Shaking someone's hand is actually good for her because it's a way that she can gauge someone's personality.
Yeah.
In a way. And so by shaking Freddie's hand, she's trying to gauge, is this guy a threat?
And
is he weird? What's the deal?
She feels like a good, like, he's scared. She can tell that's easy, but a good solid handshake. Like, he seems like a grounded sort of individual.
And even as he clasps her hand, the sort of like shaking, like it stills. He's not gripping hard. It's comforting
Exactly.
to have you holding his hand
Exactly.
for that moment to like shake hands and
Yeah.
like have human contact. And he's like, you notice the tension sort of drain from him as you release the handshake.
And Anna gives just a sort of a half smirk as she says, there. We will find the door once again. Don't worry.
The moment that she says that, there's a little crash, which startles them both, because where he grabbed the pipe from, it disturbed something, and it was kind of teetering, and it finally, like, falls.
Does the pail fall over?
Yeah, there's something against the wall, some metal you can't see really well yet, some big metal object. They fall over, and on the wall, it reveals... so that was been covered by, like, this thing was in front of the wall. A rather large photograph, which is rare, because photographs wouldn't be that large at this time.
It's like poster size?
Yeah, it's a bit poster size, and it is a group photo of all these people standing in front, somewhere in what appears to be this factory. Okay, all these people, but it's a little strange. First, there's like 10 people, let's say like a dozen people. Everyone except one of them has their eyes closed, which is strange because you'd imagine in a photo, maybe one person blinks, but everyone simultaneously. Underneath the photo, it's a big photo, is writing in that strange script. And it's like distinct words that you can't read, but there seems to be one per photo. Is it labeling who each of them is? No idea. Can't read it. But yeah, that is the clue for this scene. So it's a photo of a group in factory, and one person's eyes are open, everyone else's eyes are closed, and the strange writing is on the photo. So he says, "What's that? That's a very strange photograph."
What's that? Looking down at the like a screen that was sort of leaned up against the wall that sort of now crashed down after the pipe was removed from where it was sort of holding it in place. She says, "It is rubbish, what it is, and it will be consigned to the rubbish bin of history soon enough."
And he goes up to the photo and puts his hand on it, like kind of traces around, leaving some grease marks. But he says, "This photo, you not see? All these people, they resemble each other."
She says, "I don't have time to look at photos. Come, if you wish to follow me, I'm going across."
That's a good end scene.
Indeed.
And I'm going to play my card, actually, which is Objet d'art. You may play this after a scene that includes a mysterious or unpleasant sculpture, painting, or other piece of art. So that's the photo. From part 2 onwards, I can reveal inexplicable occurrences that only happen when that object is present, or I can reveal clear evidence that the blasphemous thing the object depicts is quite real.
All right, Ken, you are the narrator.
Anna and Freddie have made their way deeper into the abandoned factory. It's an odd feeling of sensory deprivation, as their steps don't particularly echo on the concrete floor.
Dusty concrete.
It is dusty, exactly. The light, the torch that Anna has, seems to just be swallowed by this vast cavernous darkness that they find themselves in. She does not see any landmarks. She has been walking in the same direction.
They come upon, just suddenly, the shell of an old car. So without the innards, but this, you expect it to be old and whatever. It actually looks like in very good condition. It's a cheap car, but it looks like the paint is like recent, and it looks like a pretty good shell of an old car without any of the inside.
And she stops short. She has kind of held a sleeve above her mouth with her free hand, filter out whatever dust is obscuring the vision and sort of filtering through her torch. And she stops short, kind of snaps. She turns and snaps at Freddy, who has walked right into her. He sort of yelps a little bit. You need to just get used to this. We're going to get out of here. We just need to make our way through. Freddy, come on. It seems like we're getting to some more debris from the old factory. Well, let's go around this way. And she heads towards sort of the wall. At this point, they've been kind of center. And so she's now she's going to almost hug the wall like you would when caving to kind of try to find the exit. Like she was feeling unmoored. In the darkness and sort of lost her place and sense. Like she had even sort of, until Freddy ran into her, she had sort of been seeing this thing in the foreground. She had felt isolated and almost like she was alone, and only this light was the thing, and the sort of her feet that would step into the light, and even occasionally she would kind of put her hand into the light to remind herself that she's still there.
Nice.
And
as
Freddy still have the pipe in his hand?
Yes, he does, and he's clutching
he
it.
drops it on the ground. Clang, 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 clang.
Yeah, there's a
as
heavy
he
echo.
bounces off of her.
Yeah, they both kind of jump. Again, that's why she snaps at him like,
Oh,
Freddy,
pardon.
my God, you've just made a... She sort of catches herself. I would really be... Why don't you just head back towards the door and push your strong young man, push your way out. You'll be fine.
Head back. I don't know which way is back at this point. I can't even see the door.
And at this point, we've only stumbled on the factory remains. I don't want to stumble into the prison remains on my own.
Here's what we're going to do. We're going to walk over to the wall, and if you want to continue to follow me, I'm going to keep looking around, because I'm this far in. I may as well get a look at everything. At this point, it seems pretty empty. Seems like there's some waste up ahead from the old factory, so I can only assume that this place was cleaned out and it's more the offices. Potential. I want to see if there's any substructure or anything that I need to observe for my report. If you are going to follow me through this, I'd rather you really not. Let's get to the wall. You follow the wall to the exit, and we'll part ways there. How's that sound?
Very good, Fräulein.
And so she sort of turns to try to make a 90-degree turn and just head towards what she assumes is the wall, kind of occasionally glancing up to see if she can catch a glimpse of the windows to make sure she's kind of guiding herself by that.
Turning to her right, the 90-degree angle, and starting to walk towards what she believes to be the wall. She's sort of sweeping the light left and right, trying to get a sense of what might be ahead. And the sweeping catches something that sort of glimmers and glints on the ground off to their left. As she trains her light on it, it is the edge of some oil slick or puddle of oil. And as she sort of runs her light along the side of it, it seems as if it goes back the way she came, perhaps even coming from that wrecked car or something like that. Not sure, but it's so weird because it feels like she is at the edge of some sort of lake of oil. Like it's hard for her to tell how far it goes as she's trying to shine her light over it. And it's
Freddy, you seem comfortable with cars and stuff. What is this liquid that seems to have poured from the factory floor?
What is liquid?
And Freddy, staying close to you, peers at it and he looks again at his hand and the pipe, and he says, "That's not any kind of oil or petrol or fluid you'd use in a car. I do not know what that is." And then she's like, "What if it's the blood of the prisoners that the Stasi kept?" And he kind of goes, his voice goes kind of high pitched.
You need to, Freddy, Listen, Fred, don't be ridiculous. How long has it been since this has been an active prison? It's been years now. So calm down. Tell me, what are you doing outside? What are you working on? You obviously were in construction. She kind of shines her light on herself and on him, kind of like trying to ground both of them as she's like calming this guy down because he's annoying her. And the best way to get him to not annoy her, she's feeling, is to get him centered again and distract him from their situation. So, Freddie, where, what are you doing out? What are you on site for? Why are you wearing the hard hat?
Oh, I'm not a plumber, but there aren't many of us skilled people around, so I'm helping. And he looks around nervously, but he tries to focus on you again. He gulps like, "Oh yeah, I'm helping because I know a bit about mechanics and things. I'm helping one of the plumbers install plumbing into one of the damaged buildings next door." And he looks around. He's like, he keeps trying to glance at the puddle and around him, but he's turning away to look at you as if like grounding himself with your presence.
So again, it looks like there's too much of this oil here to get past. Why don't I don't know if it's compromised the floor or anything. She's sort of noticing that he's like a little calmer and she's trying to make it like she's calling it oil. She's saying, let's
Well, maybe we can clean it up, he says, as he sort of gets down, takes out a shop rag, and puts it onto the liquid. It does soak up the liquid, and he sort of all the way, like just totally sort of
The rag is soaked.
The rag
fully.
is just soaked full. Yeah, it's reached that point. And as he sort of draws it away, it's almost like he made no dent. Like there's just this liquid.
And
continues
there's
to sort
a
of be there.
strange smell of it's like both chemically but also herbal at the same. It's like you can't describe. It's just a strange unknown smell.
And that is the clue. Is this sort of
Liquid.
large pool of inky liquid.
That seems like a good ending as well to the scene, unless you guys want to do anything else.
I think it'll just kind of end with her sort of casting her light as far as she can see across this pool of inky black.
So I'm now the witness, you're the
Okay.
narrator, and Ken's the what?
The path is basically become this demarcation. When you had hoped to find this wall, this thing to like kind of be the thing to put your hand against, but now the edge of this oily lake seems to be the only marker you have in this location, and you can't tell if it curves or what, but you definitely continue to follow it for a ways, with Freddie now a little too comfortable, maybe just kind of prattering on about stuff that you've long since tuned out. He started by telling you how he's been bringing his lunch to the construction site. The guys now have this whole thing where they'll make some food, like his mom helps him with this, like they'll kind of make food for everybody, and then they just kind of take turns, so everyone has like a little exciting food because they realized everyone was eating the same thing every day, and they got this like kind of plan together, and he's really excited about it. So you tuned him out at a certain point.
What did he
Through
do with
the-
the rag?
Through the conversations, you're also picking up that not only is he good at mechanics and plumbing, he's obviously works in a mechanic shop from time to time. He's also apparently an electrician as well. He's just got a lot.
Handyman.
He's just a handyman.
he's a fixer.
I think he put the rag probably back in his.
Yeah, it's tucked right
yeah,
into his breast
He needs that
pocket,
rag.
and it's soaking down
Into
his
overalls,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's just this sort of black, bloody streak. Bloody, but it's
Yeah.
just black. It's inky, but it doesn't have the same glistening consistency that the oil does. Like the oil sort of is streaked and like you understand it, whereas this is
Right.
different, sort of.
Yeah, and as thinking about the oily pool, you remember again that key that's just so heavy in your breast pocket.
And I finger the key almost absent-minded.
Not listening to him, focusing on the light, things are becoming almost hypnotic as you continue forward, and your footfalls start to gain like there's almost like a metronomic like tink 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 tink, and it's getting louder and louder, and you kind of come out of this moment and you recognize a drip, like a dripping sound
Where's it coming? Ahead of us or behind us?
ahead of you, but sort of also echoing, but you clear like the source is ahead of you.
Oh, and I'm like, oh, maybe that's a burst pipe or some transport pipe of that oil that must have been, and maybe
Well,
it's
if
leaking in different
If
places.
it's broken pipes, maybe I can do something to help. How big is this place? Shouldn't we have found the end by now?
Oh,
I feel like we've been walking
you
for
know
an
those
hour.
old factories, they're so maze-like with all the machinery. We've probably been walking in like squiggly lines, thinking it's straight. And I try and shine my torch to where the drippy would be.
Yeah, you kind of catch beams up above you, pipes just kind of going out. There's like a hook on a conveyor and just like a chassis, like a half-built chassis kind of hanging from that hook, a car. And just these glimpses of what have become maybe mundane objects now that you've seen these things over and over. And that dripping is piercing.
There's a muted light that comes from Freddy, where he has apparently depressed the illumination button on his Casio watch. As he's like, no.
The green, like a green
like
kind
this
of light.
green light.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I think we've... it's been over an hour, I think.
Well, like I said, we've been walking around in circles in the dark, most likely. That's why we've seen these sorts of things before. We've just been wandering for an hour. Let's try and be more focused in where we're going. Let's head towards that drip. That's somewhere we haven't been yet.
What drip?
Now that like you both kind of fall silent, that's when Freddy like starts. He hears this drip. He now hears this. He had, over his own sort of prattling, he had not been paying attention. So now he's huddling a little closer. He's more nervous again, but the drip calls you.
Well, I think it's that way. Let's go see. That's definitely a place we haven't been before, because there was no drip before. And so
yeah, so you step forward, you step closer, the drip is getting louder, the sound is getting louder. It's clear, though, that it's not above or from above.
Oh.
Like it sounds, so you get closer and closer, and you're training your light on the ground as it sort of trails forward, and the ground stops. There's a large, just square hole in the ground.
Okay.
Where you just see the edge of this black pool kind of dripping down into the darkness.
And it's like perfectly cut. Like it looks like someone used like some sort of
Machinery,
stone machinery to machine cut through the cement ground.
Yeah, I trained my torch down, and I'm like, well, where's it?
Yeah, so you see that this is like down below, there's actually, you just see the top of a car.
Yeah.
And this is clearly some sort of, like the base, some sort of subfloor is there where you see the old mechanics where they could lift these things to work on them and work beneath them as needed. And as you train your light around, you see there's like a rusted out ladder on the far edge. Sort of the black pool kind of wraps around, and you see it dripping down into the darkness, pinking, just a single drop pinking off the hood of that car.
So for some reason, this is unsettling. I'm just like, oh, this is unsettling. But I try and collect myself. I'm like, oh, and I try and vocalize. I'm like, oh, this is interesting. There is a sub-level that could be very helpful when we develop this into something else. I try and like convince myself, yes, this is not unsettling. It is a good thing. And like nod at Freddy, right? Yes.
Yeah, it would be easier to run plumbing and wires.
Exactly. You could even help with that, maybe, Freddy. That's what you're good at.
I am looking for work. Always looking for work.
Good. So this is clearly a place we haven't been before, and I shine around to see, like, okay, what's around us.
Similar, like up above, like, maybe hulking in the distance, more metal, like conveyor machinery, that belt that must have been like have hooks on it every once in a while, interspersed with a partially built car.
Yeah.
There's still like in this area, you can't see any of the windows up top. It's just darkness. And Ken, what draws their attention to the pit again?
The scratching sound of like a phonograph. Like a grrr, like that, it just echoes down there. Like that either it's about to be put on or was taken off or something like that.
What was that noise?
I don't know. A radio?
Radio? Freddy, don't be foolish. Why would there be a radio down here?
Maybe someone is living down there.
And she like, oh yes, I've seen that before, where like homeless people, unfortunate souls, live in these abandoned buildings because East Berlin has so many problems right now.
There are problems everywhere.
Yes, I know. She like,
and not as many problems as before.
She says, yes, and there will be fewer problems once we develop this factory. But maybe if we speak to whoever's down there...
This place is an evil place.
Freddy,
it's true. Don't you understand?
Well,
Don't you understand what this place has been?
Yes, you said it used to be a prison, but it is no longer a prison. See, it's harmless. It's abandoned. The worst that happened was a bulb exploded.
And with that, there's a warm light from the pit.
Like red,
it's-
like
it's
warm color?
No, warm like a yellowish
Oh.
kind of color. And
So I'm like, oh, so maybe there is someone down there. They must have lit a fire or a lantern or a torch.
Maybe they know the way out.
I point the torch down, and I'm
Yeah.
like, hello
Yeah,
there.
Looking down, you just see sort of the shaft of light that kind of cracks, like bends over the part of the car,
Yeah.
and you hear like a coughing kind of.
Oh, hello
Kinda
there.
Hello.
Sir, does it sound like a man?
Yeah, it sounds like an older man.
Sir, do you live here?
Of course not. Why would
What?
anyone live here?
What are you doing here?
My job.
And that is?
I caretake this building. I maintain it.
Oh, and that turns very maintained, as though like surprised because it doesn't look very well maintained.
He shrugs and says, I've never seen the caretaker before. I only heard about them.
Sir, could you come up here? I would like to talk to you. I'm from the Alliance Immobilier. We sent you a letter about buying this property.
I wasn't told that someone would be coming. If you want to talk, it would take me some time to get up over to the stairs, but it would be faster if you come down to me. I cannot operate the ladder right now, but you could come down to me, or you could wait. It will take me some time to make my way to you.
And I look at Freddy. I'm like,
Well, let's go down.
does it look?
He knows the
does
way.
that ladder safe?
Yes, it looks fine.
Yeah, and Freddy starts making his way to the ladder. Like, he's actually like the comfort of another voice and that light. There's something like it's the first warm thing
Yeah.
that he's noticed in this spot.
Okay, I'm kind of like perplexed but resolved, and I also feel a little bit of relief. Like, okay, so I was feeling a bit uncanny. Everything was a bit weird, but you know what? There is someone there. I know this now. Negotiation, contract, all that stuff. Okay. I'm still a bit nervous, but now I'm in more familiar territory. So I also go to the ladder.
Okay. So Freddy is scrambling down the ladder much more rapidly than you.
Yeah.
Like he's a
grease monkey.
He's a grease monkey. He's sure of himself. He actually kind of just left the pipe
Mm-hmm.
at the top of the ladder.
Okay,
Oh,
he
yeah.
left his weapon. Okay.
Yeah. And so he just kind of like skitters down pretty
But
quick.
as he skitters down and he leaves the pipe there, you see sticking out of like his back pocket,
Yeah.
like a real, like really big back pocket, is the ledger.
Oh, he took the ledger. Okay.
Apparently.
So he makes it down to the bottom of the stairs while the ladder while you're still like a fraction of the way down. And when you finally step, you're being it's very rickety, so you're being pretty careful because it's
greasy.
Like, it's greasy, and also you feel like the bolts are loose that are holding it to the anchors to the floor. You can
I'm
just
been
kind
like
of feel.
gingerly climbing.
Yeah, you're very aware of.
While he like sped down, I'm like,
And you reach the bottom, and you see Freddy sort of framed against this doorway. You just see him in silhouette. You hear the old man's voice saying, "You don't know what you've done," and then slam. The door slams shut, and so the light is gone. Freddy's silhouette is gone.
We were just
Freddy?
You hear him turn.
Yeah.
He's still on your side of the doorway. There's sort of this car between.
Why did he lock us in here? Let us
Sir, can you let us in, please? I want to negotiate with you about the purchase of this place.
Freddy's pounding on the door. Let us in!
Turn the torch back on. Where are we?
So you shine the torch around. You sort of shine it past Freddy, who's banging on this door, his back to you, and as you come around, like back towards the ladder, through you start to see that all off of this thing, there's little corridors with these part open doors, and most of these all the doors seem to be open, except for the one Freddy's pounding on. And behind you, past this ladder, is your torch, sort of the shadows of your torch kind of cutting it in segments. There's this heavy iron door with multiple bars against it, like it's been barred by heavy, like iron shod wooden
And I
bar.
unconsciously, semi-consciously touch the key in my jacket again. And I like squint, and I kind of forget the dude. I'm kind of very curious about this because of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, Freddy, I think the key is for this door.
What? I don't care about any key.
Freddy,
What was he saying?
Freddy, come here.
I said, what?
And I'm like,
Damn asshole!
So you get close. You kind of come around the ladder.
yeah.
You get close to the door, and that mouth pattern, you see it again, And in the center of the mouth pattern now, you see this weird star-shaped keyhole. And the door is adorned, the frame, with this cryptic
With that
writing in a like gold silvery metal. And the smell that you get is this, it's like the odor of, it's something you haven't smelt in here before. It's not like the like dust and decay.
It's not
and
like that
old
weird
brick.
liquid smell.
No, it's the weird liquid was hard to smell over the sort of decay of this space, but this, like, you get a wafting of like old spices or a library made of different kinds of papers and woods, and
Oh, interesting.
so there's like a something odor that emanates from behind this
Okay.
door. And but you just, the clue is this massive bound, heavily fortified door with some sort of scry writing around it.
So let's write that as our clue.
Nice. And that sort of ends
And
our
the scene, yeah,
fifth
as she
scene.
stands in front of it. Okay, so we're moving into section 2.
We interrupt our story here and we'll continue in our next communique. I was one of your players, John Holt. Follow me on Twitter at Lord Joho and on Instagram at board_ghost. You can find my book club podcast at woundandstab.com and my media review and rating podcast at newtoyoushow.com. Ken, where can people find you?
Hey, everybody. You can follow me, Ken Breeze, on Twitter and Instagram at Berlingsbeard, Berings Beard. Go to my website of the same name and hire me to DM your games. I'm a concierge DM in the New York City area. I would love to work with you.
All right. And Sharang, where can people find you?
So you can check out my Twitter, which is at Sharang Biswas, SHARANGBISWAS, and it will be included on this webpage. You can, if you really want to, you can look at my portfolio and all the games and weird art things I've designed, which is sharangbiswas.myportfolio.com. Or if you want to find me, the Institute of Contemporary Art in Philly currently has a gallery called Tag, Proposals in Queer Play and the Way Forward. And that'll be on until the end of summer, I think. And I am exhibiting one of my games there. So you can find my game at the gallery.
What's the game's name, Sharon?
So my game is Feast. It won an Indicate Award last year for the Dark Horse Award,
Woo.
i.e. the award for the weirdest game. It is a tabletop role-playing game where you eat food as part of the main mechanic.
All right. So to learn more about the players and engine in our story, visit boardghost.com. You can attempt to pierce the veil and contact us at BoardGhostWorld on Twitter. Shout out through the ether if you have desires we can fulfill. You can leave reviews and comments on iTunes, your preferred listening portal. Please take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss out on the latest episodes. Also, if you'd like to help collaborate in making the show, you can go to our Patreon where you can get exclusive how to play videos for some of the games as we're playing. We release those every couple months. You can also get access to the entirety of an episode the first week that the first half comes out. So instead of getting both halves every other week total, you'll get both parts right away. You'll also get access to art from the show. So again, patreon.com/boardghost to help us there. If you aren't in a place to help us collaborating financially, then the thing that we'd love for you to do is get out there and tell people about the show. One, because we want more people to find out about these games, learn how to play them, and teach them to one another and get out playing themselves and get comfortable with role-playing games, story games, and GM-less games, and also to learn about us and sort of the weird stuff we're doing. The more people who listen, the more encouraged we are, and the more feedback we get from you about how we're playing and stuff, the more we know what you like. So again, reach out to us on our Twitter and all that stuff, and just share it around. Tell people about it. Force them to listen on road trips. So we'd like to thank Pat Couples for our theme song and interlude music. You can find more about Pat at patcouples.tumblr.com or on his band's website, hotelsandhighways.com. If you're not alone in the void, share our stories. The more they are consumed, the truer they become.